Our first guest tonight was the 2018 Democratic nominee for governor of Georgia and is the founder of the voting rights organization Fair Fight. Please welcome back to the show our friend Stacey Abrams. How are you, Stacey?
I am doing quite well. Thank you very much.
I am worried about your well-being because obviously this seemed like an endless presidential campaign in which you were in Georgia working very hard on voter turnout, which obviously was very successful. But then in Georgia, of course, it started up right again with these two runoffs. How is your energy levels right now?
I am so looking forward to January 6th and taking a nap. But until we get there, there's no sleep till Brooklyn. We're on it.
A lot of people have credited you with the voter turnout that helped flip Georgia. And on Monday, you actually got to preside over the Electoral College and basically giving out those votes. What was that experience like?
It was thrilling. It was fantastic. It was a little sweeter when I learned that there was that alternate reality elector cabal happening right below us. And, you know, it felt good. It felt really good. In a small, petty, and yet patriotic and very happy for our nation way.
I think it's very possible to be, on the largest part, patriotic and then allowing yourself some small pettiness as well. I think we're only human. You appeared at a drive-in rally this week with both President-elect Joe Biden as well as Reverend Warnock and Jon Ossoff. How is that? How is the sort of drive-in rally treating you?
It was really good. I mean, look, in COVID reality, the honks, you know, they stand in. It's up very adequately for clapping and applause. And there's occasionally this stray honk that you hope was a punctuation of something smart that you said and not someone accidentally leaning their elbow on the steering wheel. But we saw a lot of enthusiasm for Jon Ossoff, for Raphael Warnock, and of course, the surge of applause when President-elect Joe Biden came on stage. People are ready for 2021. We're ready for him to have a good team in the Senate that's willing to work with him and get things done. And we saw that happen yesterday, and we believe we're going to get it done in January.
It was obviously a big win in Georgia, but it was also a very close win. And there have been, multiple recounts. How do you build on the momentum of what you accomplished in 2020?
Sadly, people know what's at stake because our current senators are arguing over baseball names instead of fighting Mitch McConnell to ensure that we get COVID relief packages. They are making money off of profit. They're making money and profit off of trades instead of saving the small businesses that are shutting down. And we have now crossed the threshold of more than 10,000 people who've perished in Georgia from COVID-19, and they are still planning to eliminate access to health care. We don't need anyone else on the ballot except for the two of them to keep the energy up because Georgians understand that the only way to make what we've tried to do in 2020 work is to make certain that Joe Biden has a balanced Senate with two U.S. senators from Georgia who are willing to work with him to get good done.
It does seem like Donald Trump's reaction to the election has put Senators Loeffler and Perdue in a tricky situation. They're both supporting the president's many legal claims about the outcome of the election, but they also have to get voters to believe in the electoral system and turn out for them in this runoff. Has it been interesting watching them sort of do the acrobatics this requires?
It's not just the acrobatics, it's the appropriation of Donald Trump's ability to lie with impunity, to distract from their inability to actually deliver. And yes, they argue that people should vote in a system that they don't trust and that they should do it now, but not because it's actually going to work. We have a very simple message. We want to save America. Please vote. And that has worked, I think, very well. We send people to gasenate.com, to helpwingeorgia.com. We're getting thousands of people who want to help. And more importantly, here in Georgia, we're seeing extraordinary turnout. We've had 2 days of record turnout for early voting, and we expect a third on Wednesday.
There's been no shortage of surreal moments in this election cycle, but one that was added to the list is at a recent debate with Jon Ossoff and Senator Perdue. Senator Perdue decided not to show up. And then in a real passive-aggressive mood that I applaud, they still had a podium for him. How did you think the podium did?
I think the podium acquitted itself well. It had about the same amount to say about the future of Georgia as the candidate himself would have. David has made a career of not showing up. He has not held a single public town hall in 6 years in the state of Georgia. In fact, you have to contribute to his campaign in order to get an audience with him. If you are, an average Joe, I'm not sure how you're supposed to meet with him. And so it's time for him to have all the time he needs to reflect on his successes. And we need Jon Ossoff in his place, because you saw an animated and present possible U.S. Senator.
We've talked about this before in the show. You were never a believer in the messaging that it was really important to flip Donald Trump voters. You believed that it was far more important to focus on non-voters and infrequent voters. What is it that you think President-elect Biden has to do over the course of these next 4 years, and even over the course of the next 2 years until the midterms, to bring out more of that voting bloc?
I think the first thing, and I mean this very sincerely, showing that he's concerned about everyone. I am clearly a Democrat. I believe in the values espoused by my party, but I trust what he says and I adhere to what he says, which is that he may have been elected as a Democrat, but he intends to be the president of everyone. And when you have a U.S. president who returns us to those norms, where he doesn't speak in terms of base and siphoning off certain communities as being enemies of our people, but instead talks about how we together can defeat COVID, how we together can recover our economy, how we together can pursue racial justice. That kind of language brings people in. They may be reluctant, they may be suspicious, but at least they'll believe that they have a place and they're willing to have the conversation.
The president has attacked both your Republican Secretary of State. He's attacked Governor Kemp, who you lost your race to in 2018. And one of the things that I think is really scary now is that the reaction to this is that we will see more blocks putting in place to have people vote. Are you worried about that ultimately what the Republican Party, and it seems like when you listen to Kemp and the Secretary of State, it seems like they're saying, look, we're going to put in more safeguards. And of course, when you talk about the safeguards they're talking about, it seems like it will lead to less Georgians being able to vote.
They're going to restore, if they have their way, they're going to try to restore in Georgia and around the country, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, every place where we were able to mitigate voter suppression. When you hear the word safeguard, what you should hear is, we're going to stop those people from voting again. What we accomplished in 2020 across the country through Fair Fights work and the work of so many others, including Mark Elias and the Leadership Conference and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the NAACP itself, the Lawyers Committee, it was a collective effort to create access to the right to vote. The problem for the Republicans is when people vote, when they have the right to vote, Republicans start to lose. Newt Gingrich said it himself about Georgia. If people can actually mail in their ballots and return them, Republicans can't win. Their fear is not that there is an assault on our elections. Their fear is that people are actually participating and making smart choices. I don't think that any party should be guaranteed a victory, but every American should be guaranteed a vote if you're eligible. And that's what they're afraid of. And we know that starting in January, here in Georgia, led by Governor Kemp and Brad Raffensperger, but across the country, there will be marked and naked attempts to pull back the right to vote, because when they control the power, they control it best by silencing the people.
I think now is an important time for all of us to work really hard, but also to provide some self-care. We've talked in the past, you enjoy to read a book, you enjoy to write a good book, you enjoy television. Are there any shows right now that Stacey Abrams is watching that you want to give a shout out to?
So, loved The Queen's Gambit. That was fantastic. And I have been saving up my episodes of Star Trek Discovery. That's what I get to do over the Christmas break, the, I think, 28 hours that my team is going to give me to rest over the holiday. That's what I'm going to be watching, binge watching it, getting it done. And of course, watching every episode of the Seth Meyers Show that I've missed during this campaign.
Thank you very much. I was fishing for that, and I'm glad I got you on the line. It is always a delight to see you. Best of luck, and hopefully next time in person.
Look forward to it. Have a wonderful holiday.